It's the real news. I'm Ben Norton. On June 26th, there were important midterm primaries in numerous states, including New York, Maryland, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Utah. And specifically, in some of these states, like New York and Maryland, there was a massive upset that will actually change Democratic Party politics in this country and could challenge some of the neoliberal corporate Wall Street backed Democrats who have dominated the party. Joining us to discuss this today is Anoa Changa. Anoa is an attorney and activist, and she's the director of political advocacy for Progressive Army. She's also the host of the podcast, The Way with Anoa. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, one of the most shocking and amazing upsets we've seen is that in New York, a 28-year-old Latino socialist named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez actually defeated a very powerful Democrat, Joe Crowley, who was the fourth ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. Joe Crowley, this is a corrupt neoliberal. He has ties to Wall Street, and he also raised 10 times more money than Ocasio-Cortez, but he still lost after she ran a grassroots campaign. Also, Ocasio-Cortez is a member of Democratic Socialists of America. So, Anoa, I'm wondering if we could just start by talking about this amazing victory in New York.
Amazing is an understatement. I mean, I think people really vastly have undercounted the value of knocking on all the doors, right? And talking to voters about issues that matter, about issues that are affecting families, working folks, students. I mean, Alexandria took it to a different level, right? I mean, I heard reports of canvassers going up into buildings. Like people usually avoid apartment buildings, but her staff was actually climbing stairs to knock on multiple doors instead of waiting for the elevator. Like this was the dedication and the importance and value on making sure people had a representative that was coming from the district, that was representing the issues that most resonate with them. Um, just checking, I did, you hope that the candidate you support or that you like will win. But I was in awe last night watching the spread, and it remained pretty constant, over the course until it was finally called, that she won by double digits because she did what her opponent had never done. She actually went and talked to people directly about the issues that mattered.
Yeah, and Joe Crowley, whom she was running against, this is the head of the Queens Democrats. Her district is in part of the Bronx and part of Queens. Ocasio-Cortez is herself from the Bronx. She's Puerto Rican American, and what's amazing about this is that Joe Crowley had been in office for nearly 20 years and had not been contested, and he was actually disrespectful during the campaign. He organized a debate with Ocasio-Cortez, and he didn't even show up to the debate. So I'm wondering if you could talk more about who Joe Crowley is and why this is incredibly important, not just because Ocasio-Cortez ran an important grassroots campaign, but also because she's unseating one of the most powerful Democrats.
Well, and he also had the backing of several of his colleagues. We saw Congressman Ro Khanna have to kind of walk back his endorsement in a way and do a dual endorsement. But when you're thinking about what took place in the district and the extreme marginalization of her voice and her presence as a candidate in that race, right? He would say things like he knew what his district needed. This is someone who not only is one of the powerful Democrats in the House, he does not live or in or represent that actual district. It's a district that's 75% person of color and has never been represented by a person of color. I mean, he's an out of touch elite Democrat that permanently resides in Virginia. And this is a wake up call because Crowley's attitude towards Alex's challenge was really embodies the Democrats' hubris that we saw fail so miserably in 2016. Pelosi's statement about that race today is very disappointing and just shows the really entrenched problematic nature of the Democratic Party as an entity. Sure, there are bright spots here and there, and Alex is definitely one of them. But the established party itself has a huge problem accepting that change is coming, and change is the only way that we're going to reclaim ground that has been lost since Trump took office in 2016.
Yeah, and let's talk more about the Democratic Party establishment. The DNC and the DCCC, these are institutions that during the 2016 presidential campaign intentionally sabotaged Bernie Sanders' attempt to run for president. And we've also seen that in the midterm primaries in 2018, the DNC and DCCC have refused to endorse multiple progressive candidates. They've also refused to endorse many women who are running, and a record number of women are trying to run, although unfortunately many have not actually won these primaries. I'm wondering if you could talk about how the Democratic Party institutions, these establishment, Wall Street backed institutions, are preventing change in the party.
Well, to talk about another race in New York, we just saw Dana Balter up in, I think it's New York's 24th congressional district, had an amazing win last night as well against an anti-choice DCCC backed candidate. We've been seeing that type of ignorance for the issues that are actually supposed to be issues that the Democratic Party cares about being cast aside who DCCC decides to anoint as their candidate. Um, they they have backed, candidates, like I said, in Dana Balter's race, all across the country, but they were ignoring folks like Dee Dee Adams down in North Carolina. You have other folks like Lucy McBath, who's running down here in Georgia. I mean, you even have, even though Stacey Abrams won her campaign last year resoundingly, I mean, last month resoundingly, like there was still a battle and a fight to get support from outside, establishment DNC groups to support her. So we're seeing this trend. It even goes back to when Kim Ellis ran for head of the California Democratic Party. And even though Black in particular, but women of color as a whole and women in general are a backbone and mainstay in Democratic politics and policies, they're not getting the same respect and support when it comes to actually standing up and leading, either in terms of running for office or even as we've seen now with Mexican voters, with people trying to shush her, tell her that she needs to take a different tone in this conversation about civility. There is a real issue with the DCCC and the DNC as well, and the DLCC, in terms of the way they're willing to rely on our labor and our voice, our work to get ahead, but when it comes to actually investing, but not just investing because we're women or we're Black women or whatever the case may be, but investing in the better candidate. Because in many of these instances, they're not supporting the better candidate. They're supporting the candidate that they think can win, or the candidate that at least is in line with donor values, which aren't our values.
Well, unfortunately, we'll have to end our conversation early here. We were joined by Anoa Changa. Anoa is an attorney and activist and the director of political advocacy for Progressive Army. Thanks for joining us, Anoa.
Thanks for having me.
For The Real News, I'm Ben Norton.